Hi everyone, Rough the Knee Palm Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new ANOHNI and the Johnsons record, My Back Was a Bridge for You to Cross. This is the latest full-length LP from vocalist and songwriter ANOHNI Hegarty, as well as her band, The Johnsons, which comes about 6 years after debuting under her new name on the record Hopelessness, which was far from my favorite record from her, but was a very challenging and emotionally intense listen nonetheless. A devastating art pop record that truly wept for the world, especially on highlights such as Drone Bomb Me. So considering this public shift in identity and topical focus, it's understandable that ANOHNI would want to move away from the band she was once known for leading. But with My Back Was a Bridge for You to Cross, the band is back, and so is Hegarty's focus on chamber pop and especially soul. But at least some of the social commentary has remained. I don't think you put LGBTQ activist Marsha P. Johnson on the front cover of your record if you're not looking to make some kind of point. It's also worth noting how much of a full circle moment this is, as the And the Johnsons band name has always been in reference to Marsha, her life and work. If you've been paying attention to the news, you've most likely seen it's currently dire times for the queer community, with a lot of public vitriol, state and local legislation getting passed, as well as a right-wing Supreme Court stacked against it. And ANOHNI seems more than the game to address that and a host of other things on this record, but does it in kind of a poised, classy, timeless, unshaken way that reminds me of records such as Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. Most notably on the opening track, It Must Change. Without having to be too explicit, the it in that sentence is pretty obvious, but Hegarty does go the extra mile to spell things out with some poetic grace. The way you talk to me, the things you do to me, the death inside you that you pass into me. The backing instrumental as well of warm bass and clean guitar, some hand drums too, is so smooth and so sweet, it's fantastic, but also meets the moment emotionally as well. Continuing through the track list, there is an interesting contrast on the next song, which is the shortest and harshest on the project, Go Ahead. The shrill guitars and shouty vocals sound like a total racket off of a late-era Scott Walker album. Lyrically, Hegarty seems to take on the vitriol and hatred being sung about on the track. Again, it's short, it's not super well developed or thorough or anything like that, but I think the piece's point gets across pretty easily. Sliver of Ice deals in vibes and emotions that are much more positive and nourishing. Mostly love, with some very slow and enchanting drums and guitars hanging in the background. ANOHNI's voice on this cut is amazing, especially that low end. The lyrics deliver this imagery of bliss related to the taste of water and ice, which in a way is likened to love or something new, mind-expanding. But the track is still bittersweet, as there's a lot of talk of passing on and not being around for too much longer, entering into some kind of unexplained oblivion. All in all, it's a pretty somber and beautiful moment on the project. We get much more emotional tension on the following cant, which reads like an ode to a friend who's passed on, and possibly another, where some distance has grown between Hegarty and them due to some regrettable actions or other factors. The specifics come across a little open to interpretation, but the sadness and longing is most definitely there, as well as the momentous crescendo the whole thing arrives to toward the finish. Shouting in protest, I won't have it, can't undo it, I don't want you to be dead. The social points on this record are made even clearer with the song Scapegoat, with opening lyrics like, you're so killable, just so killable, it's not personal, it's just the way you were born, and in this society, a scapegoat is all I can be. There are slight expansions on this track lyrically as it continues to unfold, but the real, I think, selling point of this song is the vocal performance. Not only is the passion there, but the vocal melodies are super angular and unique, and there's this really intense vibrato that is fluctuating so much in volume. I can't think of a lot of examples that remind me of it. Moving on from here, there's a pretty decent second half on the record too. The track It's My Fault, given its length, kind of reads like a bit of a mid-album breather. Not my favorite tune here, but there are some beautiful harmony layers on the chorus, and the lyrics read like an interesting meditation on internalizing blame. There are similar struggles of not measuring up explored as well on the song There Wasn't Enough. The track Rest is a pretty direct and heavy fusion of rock and soul, with some mesmerizing guitar arpeggios, and the strongest and most dramatic combination of instrumentation and vocals on the entire record. This track is handily the most fiery here, especially with that peak in the last leg, the dynamics of this album, not just in terms of performance, but the recording as well, how much it complements the softer moments, the louder moments. It's all great. The record does end off with some kind of loose moments, like with Why Am I Alive Now, which just refuses to resolve as far as chord progression, and the melodies are a bit on edge too, even when a really sweet and cinematic string section begins to pick up in the last leg. But I will say Haggerty does lace another impressive vocal performance into this track, even if again I'm not blown away by the song or tune itself. But then the closing cut, which is a very skeletal and simple short moment on the record, You Be Free, is a bit of a guitar meditation that again is very bare and very straightforward, but I think delivers a vital message, one that is of hope and I think relates to not just Johnson on the cover, but also Haggerty herself, who has long stood as a queer figure in the public, in the art scene. And the whole thing reads like a statement on generations of people struggling in order for those who come after them to see brighter days and hopefully experience a less cumbersome existence. And yeah, overall loved this album. I think it is one of the stronger records that ANOHNI has released over the course of her career, and I'm feeling a strong 8 to a light 9 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, ANOHNI, forever.